wherever you may be, however you may be listening. And thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Cardinals on SI podcast. I'm Donnie Jordan, joined live with my man, Richie Bradshaw, on this beautiful Friday morning. Richie, you look very, very confused, my man. How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, cool. My audio thing had popped up and said that that was not the case. Okay, no, we're cool. Doing good, Mr. Druin. How are we feeling today on this beautiful Friday morning?
I am dragging you know what today. I am very, very tired. I got little energy drink on ice in the Yeti cup here, but it's a
I feel
wonderful
that.
Friday morning. Already got some people in the chat. Shout out to remember Cardinal Sid, man, always working and twerking
Always
whenever
here,
we are
baby.
streaming. Hashtag early tailgate gang. Hashtag real Donnie hours. Hashtag Richie Brads with the Old Country Buffet seniors discount. Congrats, Richie. Proud of you,
I
bro.
guess. Sure.
Brian says, doesn't that count as a shirt? Good morning, fellas. Brian, good morning, brother. How
I don't
are
know where
you?
the
That does
sleeves
count
went,
as a shirt.
but
Sun's out, guns out, my man. Yeah, especially this time of year.
guns?
The weather is
Ain't got
great.
those. I got sweet tats though.
You do have sweet tats. I will say the ink game is pretty solid. If I do
Ink
say so
ink game
myself.
is up there, baby.
For sure. Yeah, so mandatory mini camp is over. We have about a month until training camp begins on July 22nd. A lot of things to do and fill the void. And what better thing to do than a mailbag that we posted both on our YouTube page and on Twitter. So thank you everybody very, very much for submitting those questions. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty here in just 2 seconds. Yeah, I am exhausted, my man. I really gotta
I'm right there with you, man.
Carlson says, let's fucking go. Should not have sworn. Off work today. Brothers have my full attention at the gym with 9 pounds lost so far.
Guess we're not
Trying to get
getting,
out to the Warhammer soundtrack. LFG. Man, I'm gonna
not getting
watch
monetized for
that.
this one.
Watch.
Hank Hill!
Is that Hank? Yeah. This Friday's goated already, man. Let's go. Oh man.
I'm about it.
This is a great Friday. If I could do the damn thing for 2 seconds, that would be wonderful. Okay. So we're pulling up YouTube first. Oh man, chicken and rust off here. The first question comes from Darren Lewis. How did Tip Ryman look on pass routes during OTAs? I didn't think he looked like anything extravagant and anything crazy, but you don't need Tip to do that. That's why you have Trey McBride. And also on passing downs, if they don't have a McBride that they like, they also like Elijah Higgins in that role as well. But I think he's just like all the other second year guys, Richie. I think he's just, somebody who finally has a year's worth of experience underneath him. And he's gotten to take part in the NFL offseason program. And yeah, I mean, Tip looks like Tip, except a little bit bigger. I mean, I will say Ryman, for as much as people praise him as a run blocking tight end, like he's very capable of being a pass catcher as well.
Well, I mean, I was not able to be in attendance for any of that, so I can't really speak on that. But I mean, I'm definitely in favor of seeing a little bit more of Tip Ryman this year because I do like what he brings to the table as just that big physical blocking, essentially like a sixth lineman for you that is a little bit more athletic than you may realize. So
Yeah.
whether they get him involved in the passing game or not, that'd be cool to see, but there is a lot of intrinsic value in having a guy who is just really good at run blocking. So I just want to see him more involved this year, especially for a Cardinals team that we're anticipating and quite frankly should be running the football more.
No, 100%. Brian says people wrote Ryman off and forget how much McBride was year one. Not saying the jump is the same, but it's still worth pointing out. And I think you can make an argument, Richie, that one of the hardest jumps from college to the NFL does happen at the tight end position. And it does take tight ends oftentimes a very long amount of time to really kind of find their footing in the NFL because you are required to do so much as a tight end. Not that that's not the case across the board, but tight end, I feel like, is a completely different beast.
Yeah, and I mean, how many seasons have we seen guys like Brock Bowers be able to come out? Donnie, in the history of the NFL, how many tight ends have ever recorded 1,000 yards as a rookie?
I can probably count them on one hand, right?
Yep, 3. So not that Ryman was ever expected to be 1,000-yard tight end out the gate, but it truly is one of those positions that takes a lot of time. And even in an NFL, a present day NFL rather, that gets a tight end involved as much as they do, you still generally don't see insane success from the position right out the gate. So yeah, we didn't get massive production out of Ryman, but we also weren't anticipating or requiring him to do that. So let's see what we can get in year two.
Yeah, I feel like, for what he was asked to do in year one, he did fairly well. And that was, on 12 and 13 personnel, come in and block the what
Right.
out of defenders
Dude,
to
you might
create
as well
running
swear.
lanes.
We already
You
ruined
you know
it.
what? I was gonna say, started the show hot like that, might as well, right? On this wonderful Friday. In an offense where he's not even the first or second receiving option at his own position.
Right.
He's not going to rack up those numbers, nor was he expected to. So it'll be interesting to
You
see
don't need him to.
right, exactly, and I think that's kind of the point too. But he does have that capability of catching the ball if absolutely needed to. I'm sure that's improved over the offseason, but it's just really hard to tell in OTAs and stuff like that. So the next question comes from Prodigy123. I feel like our defense is going to be a top 10 defense this season, and I feel like our O-line will be fine. But do we pick up another wide receiver, maybe a veteran or someone to put in the rotation? I think they're chilling. I think the Cardinals are pretty content with what they have. I think they really like that starting trio of Wilson, Harrison, and Greg Dortch. They seem to love Zay Jones for bringing him back for another season. And then fans are going to point out names like Xavier Weaver behind him, and even like Quez Watkins too. They seem to really like that room, Richie.
We'll wait and see. I mean, I was one of the loudest proponents this offseason that the Cardinals needed to add guys to the room, and they certainly needed to add guys that could provide
Yep.
speed. But, like you said, they seem very confident and comfortable in what they have. So for now, I suppose we'll wait and see what ends up coming out of this. So, yeah,
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 no, I would agree. They at this point in the offseason, I feel like unless somebody just gets crazy discounted on the trade market or somebody becomes available via free agency, I just don't see a lot of change happening, if any change at all. So,
right.
next question comes from Richards. Do you think they keep Michael Carter as a change of pace back? This was a very not heated. It was a very debated topic last year before Michael Carter was cut and then added back to the practice squad, because you could make the argument that this was the case then and now, that Michael Carter is the second best running back running the football wise on the team behind James Conner. I
Right.
don't really think that's changed because the running back room hasn't really changed. I do think Trey Benson is set for a very, very big jump in year two. It does feel like they're going to give Trey more carries, but I think Carter is a very, very good change of pace back. I think he's made the most of opportunities when given said opportunities. Um, will that turn into him making a 53-man roster? I'm not too sure. Only because guys like DJ Dallas and Amari DiMercado are behind him, and they seem to wear more hats, as Jonathan Gannon would say, on game day whenever it comes to special teams, being a third down back, like all of that good stuff. So they seem to be capable of doing a little bit more. And the Cardinals already have two pretty decent runners of football, and Connor and Benson. So I think Carter might be on the outside looking in again.
Yeah. So it's a fun backfield that the Cardinals have, because between those four guys, right? Connor, Benson, Carter, and DeMercado, you like what you have there. It's still worth noting that Dallas
DJ
oh god,
Dallas.
DJ Dallas, thank you, is still on the team as well, which we're not really expecting him to be a massive impact player in the backfield, but he is a special teams player, and he will forever be in NFL record books as the first player to return a kick for a touchdown under the new rules that were established last year. So it's a loaded backfield, but if Dallas does return, it's going to be hard to justify five running backs on the
Yeah.
roster, and it's already going to be tough to have four guys back there because Connor is back, Benson is back, DeMercado's got a good shot, and Carter is going to be competing. So I don't know if if Carter has his role locked up, like you mentioned, that wasn't the case last year, but he was brought back. He was placed on the practice squad, and we did see him at some point. Is that going to be rinse and repeat the same case? I don't know, but I feel like that's almost the ideal scenario for for the Cardinals right now. Is just find a way to keep him somewhere in your organization.
100%. Brian says depth is a great problem to have. We haven't had that in like 4 years, and I would absolutely agree with
Well,
this.
especially at running back.
Competition makes everybody better, and it
Yeah, it
just feels
does.
like, it feels like guys are going to have to earn their role, which is something you want when you're trying to kind of carve out an NFL roster. He also says cards are gambling on the Marv jump 100% for the offense, and they absolutely are. I do think that jump will happen, to be fair. I don't think he's going to have an all-pro season, but I do think another year under his belt, more time and continuity with Kyler Murray, I think we're going to see a different and a better Marvin Harrison Jr. Moving forward. So the last question on YouTube comes from David Jones, kind of along the lines of what Brian brought up. Do you think the offense has enough weapons to compete at the highest level? Dortch, McBride, Harrison Jr., Wilson, not much else. Zay, Jones, maybe.
It should be good enough
It should be good
to
enough.
finish in the top half of the league and get the job done. But that's pretty much the only fair expectation you can place on it, I suppose. Like, it's not trying to be a hater, but it's
Statistically wise, they finished number 12 last year in total offense, and you would hope that maybe like another year in Drew Petzing's offense would open things up a little bit more and like
right.
maybe help them. I think this offense on
That's
paper is good. I don't think it's scary. I don't think it's
no.
phenomenal. I think at times it can be. When Kyler Murray is doing his thing and we see a very consistent Murray under center, I think we see a very, very good Cardinals offense. And that was shown time and time again last year in 2024. You know, how many times did the Cardinals put up 30 plus points and just look like, you know, they were able to do whatever they wanted on the offensive side of the ball. And
Right.
I think one of the good things about Drew Petzing's offense is that like it's pretty balanced. It's a very run heavy offense on early downs, but you get James Conner rolling downhill. The defense starts to creep up. They start to load people in the box, use play action. That just opens up so much more, right?
Right.
I think whenever it's working like that, it works great. But defenses quickly found out, hey, if you can turn Arizona into a one-dimensional offense, Kyler Murray, more times than not, since he's not crazy consistent, is prone to making mistakes. And that's how the Cardinals pretty much collapsed towards the second half of the season.
Yep, they just need to find a way to be a balanced offense. I'm still encouraging them to be fairly run heavy this year. Hopefully that will be the case, but I guess we'll see, Donnie, because you know the passing weapons did not change like
Yeah.
at all. So the only thing you're hoping for is maybe guys develop and take a step forward, like Marvin Harrison Jr. But we're basically faced with what we saw last year, and like you said, that kind of ended up being the end of the season last year. So maybe that's not so much to do with the weapons at the disposal as much as it is the consistency from Kyler Murray. But again, we'll find out.
We sure will. 2025 is the year of finding out. Cardinals Cincinnati still genuinely worry about the offensive line depth. Yeah or nay, K1 needs a minimum at decent O-line in order to be accurately graded, with a lot of question marks about him at the end of 25 going into 26.
Right.
I'm the starting unit's fine. I'm not worried about the starters at all. It's the depth behind them that really worries me. But I mean, you really can't plan for injuries and all that other good stuff too at the same time. If the line was like it was last year, it's more than fine. It is very acceptable. If
I
Kyler
thought
was
it was a
running for
decent
his
unit
life,
last year. Right.
yeah, and like if Kyler was running for his life, it'd be a completely different story. You know, if he had no time to do anything, if a lot of his errors were forced off of him needing to get the ball out because he was about to get sacked or he had no time at all, that'd be very, very different than the conversations we had at the end of last year and moving into this offseason. So
Yeah. I Yeah.
Definitely get it. But do I think the offense has enough weapons to compete? Yeah, I do. Are they making headlines? Are they a top 5 offense, or are they a Super Bowl fearing offensive machine? No. But I do think with a revamped defense, I do think it will be good enough to push the Cardinals into playoff contention, and that's very much the expectation moving into 2025. It's postseason or bust in my mind.
Yeah. Well, can you place that expectation on a team that's in year 3 of what, for all intents and purposes, is a full rebuild? Like, I've said this a lot of times in my content to the point where, like, it's almost cliche that I say, but I haven't said it very much on the podcast, so I'll say it now. Jonathan Gannon very much overachieved last year with a team that is in a full-blown rebuild and everything like that. They were not supposed to be as good as they were last year, according to how rebuilds historically go. So as you go into year 3, yeah, you're really excited and everything, Donnie, but I still don't know if that's a realistic like expectation and minimum for this team is playoff or bust. Because if you have another 8-9 season, is it disappointing? Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
But you weren't supposed to be here in the first place. So I'm not ready to say playoff or bust because I don't think that's fair to place on the organization. But as far as the vibe that fans are going to have, it might be closer to that, right, wrong, or indifferent.
So take a shot, right, wrong, or indifferent. I think maybe playoff or bust might be the wrong term to use, but I just look at, like, you had the division lead going into the bye week. You narrowly missed the postseason last year. You only got better through the offseason. You're sticking with Drew. You're sticking with Kyler. Yeah, like the expectation should be playoffs in Arizona. That's kind of like, if I don't say playoff or bust as in, like, if they miss the postseason, you fire Austin Fort, you fire Gannon. I don't think you tear anything down at all. But I think you got to answer a lot of questions if you miss the postseason again, because this team is talented enough to make it. It is, and you're in a tough NFC West.
I hear you.
And I don't think not winning the NFC West would be a boom or bust deal, but with the people you added on defense, Richie, and if that defense is as good as it's supposed to be, and if the offense takes that next step, you should be cooking. And
I hear you.
statistically wise, they have a favorable schedule. We've gone over the schedule a handful of times on this podcast and in our written content at si.com/NFL/Cardinals. So it's not maybe playoff or bust. It might be the wrong way to phrase it, but, like, the expectation should be the postseason this year. If we're gradually taking those steps from year 1 to year 2 to year 3, if we're expecting progression, that's what it needs to be.
So, if you don't mind, because, why not? In comparison with the Arizona State Sun Devils, I've said this many a times, Jonathan Gannon and Kenny Dillingham inherited very similar situations where, like, these programs are rebuilding from the ground and you just are way ahead of the expectation. So as Kenny Dillingham said, you raise the minimum bar, you raise the minimum expectation for the team. But ASU vastly overachieved last year. And I talked with the one and only Spencer McLaughlin of Locked On College Football once about this. And I think the way that you need to look at it for the time being with Arizona State is you can't place college football playoff or bust. You can't place Big 12 championship or bust on this program just yet because they've done it once. But if you do it again, kind of thing, now that does become the expectation. Like Alabama did not become national championship or bust right away, but it got to that point where if they weren't winning a national championship, it was a down year for Alabama. So to a much lesser extent, it's just difficult to get there right now with the Cardinals, who, first of all, didn't make the playoffs last year. But to give that verdict of playoffs or bust. I'm just not ready to get there yet. And I think that that's the expectation for the fans in the same way that it is for the Sun Devils. As the host of Locked On Sun Devils, I would consider it a bit of a disappointment if ASU didn't repeat as Big 12 champs this year with everything they're bringing back and the upgrades they made. And whoa, that's the Arizona Cardinals. They brought back their best players, and they made a lot of upgrades in the offseason, and they were right there before. So, yeah, that is the hype, and rightfully so. And I'm not going to say that fans should be, like, lowering their own expectations or anything, but it can't be seen, for me, as playoffs or bust until further notice. And I mean, I'm talking like year 4, year 5. If they sustain that success, then it's playoffs or bust. Like the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs are playoffs or bust. The Chiefs are championship or bust. Like, but they had to get to that point. Even in the first year of Patrick Mahomes, it didn't suddenly become championship or bust. We'll get to that point with the Cardinals.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I don't think heads roll if you miss the postseason this year, but I do think you are going to have a lot of tough conversations because, at least on paper, like this team should be competing for a postseason spot. Given just the linear progression of how things were, and like Richie, I do want to bring up a point because like you do bring up the fan hype and everything that is very real, but it's also like the locker room itself.
Yeah.
Like the locker room itself in Arizona fully believes it too. So it's not like they're trying to like catch anybody like by surprise or they're keeping like hush hush about it. Like the expectation within the building too, which I think is far more important than anything else, from expectations from people like you and I, from expectations for fans in general in Arizona. I think the overall expectation within the building, inside the locker room, in the facility, is make the postseason. They think they can do it. They believe they'll do it. And I think that just radiates on downwards, it's not coach speak. I think that's the big thing, because at this point in the offseason, Richie, everybody loves their team. Everybody thinks they can make a run. Everybody believes they can do it. I just think when we are projecting to 2025 and what is considered a successful season or not, I think given how last year ended, it's playoffs or bust. That's just how I look at it.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and I'm not trying to say that like it's wrong to think that way. But I would encourage fans, if you had another 8-9 season, that is a success. I promise you it is.
I don't know.
It is.
I don't think so, man.
Nope, it is. It is. You are ahead of where you're at. You are vastly ahead of where you're at.
8-9 is the same thing you were last season after bringing in Josh Sweat, Calais Campbell, Dalvin Tomlinson, Walter Nolan, and Will Johnson. No, that's not.
Did that fix the offense?
It did not.
So there you go. Sounds like a conversation for another time.
It does. No, it does. That'll be a good podcast episode too. Like, granted, man, like you weren't going to fix every hole in one offseason. That's just not how things are done. This isn't Madden in franchise mode where you just sign a whole bunch of players and, magically you're going to be a 95 overall and just make the Super Bowl year after year. There's very different and real things that like teams have to do in order to get there. But I think if the card,
do you turn off the salary cap when you play Madden?
No.
Let me know in the comments.
I do not. I also don't turn off injuries either.
Coward.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think if they go 8-9 again, I think either Drew or Kyler's gone. I really do.
Hopefully both.
Oh, that's a spicy take. All right, let's get to the chat. A lot of things popping in here. Brian says we need more shot plays. We don't throw the ball downfield unless the prayer was to Marv. At least it felt that way. I completely agree. I really don't think the Cardinals pushed the ball super deep as much as they could have in 2025. Cardinals says no playoffs in 2025. Gannon on the hot seat in 2026. I don't know if I agree.
That's from the guy who wanted to fire Kenny halfway through year one. So I'm taking that with a grain of salt.
Minnie, welcome to the chat. For some reason, I get the feeling you like ASU a little bit, Richie. A
little bit.
Pequeño. Speaking of ASU, hashtag forks up. Skyler, what's up, my man? You get another 8-9 season. We got to see a change at quarterback, most likely. Also, some other stat factors, but usually at this point, something like that drastic happens. Minnie says she does turn injuries off in franchise mode. It says I was questioning getting a little defensive on this Friday, my man.
Well, I mean, I still love Big Dog, but I got to give him a hard time. I had to talk him off the ledge more than a handful of times about it.
Big Dog's got to eat, man. Benjamin says Cardinals get the first seed. Sign me up for that. Sign me up, man. I need that. All right, man. We're gonna switch over to the Twitter questions that we got, but first, an ad read. All right, folks, quick timeout. Let's talk about something every homeowner's got to deal with eventually: floors. If yours are looking more beat up than the football in the fourth quarter, it's time to call my guy Brian over at Floor Coverings International, North Phoenix. This isn't your typical big box store experience. Brian actually brings the showroom to you. He rolls up with a van full of samples, helps you pick out the perfect floors for your style and budget, and then his expert team takes care of the install like total pros. Hardwood, carpet, luxury vinyl, you name it. Whether it's one room or the whole house, they've got you covered. They've even got special promos running this summer, so if you book in June, you could score a solid deal. So don't sit on the sidelines. Check out fcinorthphoenix.com and schedule your free in-home consultation today. That's fcinorthphoenix.com. Tell Brian that Donnie sent you and get ready to love your floors again. Wow, that was so cool. Wow, I wonder who recorded that. Sounds so sick. I bet
they
that
got a
really
velvety voice. I'll tell you what, I
people
might be making that call.
People tell me I have a podcast voice. I never believed it.
You know, I've been told the same thing, which it's like, stop it. No. Feed this ego. This ego got to eat.
Yeah. Keep going. Keep going.
Keep going.
Oh man, you really got him riled up over that Kenny comment, my man.
Old man yells at Sky.
All right, let's get into the Twitter questions. I said let's try this again because I tweeted us out and nobody asked a question. Nobody or their grandmother responded to my tweet. And I'm like, you know what, man? I don't need you guys. But my man Noah did come through for me. Shout out Noah Shackmine, all Steelers talk. Dude, they reach over
follow me back, jerk.
50,000 subs on YouTube, man. That's crazy. Very, very crazy. Do the Cardinals have a receiver they could be open to trading this offseason, maybe to a team like the Steelers? No, because they're running the back with the same crew. I feel like they would much rather keep their guys than trade one away. I don't even know what they would want in exchange for one of the and for one of the receivers. I don't know. Not trading Marv. I wouldn't be shocked if they traded Michael Wilson, but they do really, really like him. Greg Dortch, I feel like, just plays too many roles for them to deal away.
Why would you trade Wilson? Because if you trade Wilson, then you're tanking.
I was going to say, there's no point to trading.
Then you're on a hot seat.
That's fair.
According to where you're at.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I like Mike. Michael Wilson gets some slander from the Cardinals fan base that I just do not agree with.
I know. I remember a certain man who, before he even took a pro snap, was willing to die on the hill that was wide receiver 1. And he was yelling.
Play wise, he was correct. He was correct. No, the Cardinals do not have any receivers available to trade, especially to the Steelers. I just don't see anything like that happening. But Noah, love you, miss you, my man. Thank you for the question. Kevin Hicks, lead ready for Arizona State on SI. Asks, what odds would you give all 4 NFC West teams to take the division title at this moment? It's got to be the Rams number 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I'm still high on the Niners, and I guess I'm in a small camp with that. So
yeah, I'm on the other side of the camp.
I think a lot of people are, which to me, I can't get there. Like, that's still just a good team. That it's going to be very different. So we're going to find out. But until further notice, it is the Rams, and it should be.
Yeah, I would say the Rams number 1. God, that's a good football team, brother. That's a really good football team, man. Being honest, number 2. The gap between 2 and 4 isn't very, very big for me. I do think the division is going to be extremely competitive this year. Give me Arizona at number 2. Give me Arizona. I'm not buying the 49ers just because they're another year older. They were so banged up last year. They have a lot of guys coming off. They lost a lot of talent in the offseason, too. They lost a ton of
That's
talent in
a
the offseason.
brand new defense, which may not be a good thing.
I will say, Robert Saleh going back as DC can fix a
That's my
lot of those
swing
issues.
factor. That's my swing factor, Mr. Truin.
So after San Fran, I'd go LA 1, Arizona 2. Give me San Fran 3 because I don't know what to do with Seattle. I really, really don't. If they won the division, I would not be surprised. They were tied with the Rams last year for the division lead. But we talked about offseason losses. Dude, they go from Geno Smith to Sam Darnold, and the discussion on where Seattle is in the Sam Darnold era goes one of two ways, because you either believe in Sam Darnold or you don't. You're a Darnold believer. I'm not. I need to see it. They lost DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. Their defense is still projects to be very, very good. They're almost similar to the Cardinals in a way. I feel like, to where like the offense is kind of like questionable, but like that defense is talent at all three levels. All three.
You're not throwing on that secondary. We'll go ahead and get that out of the way.
Yeah, it's honestly, man, like you could make a pitch for any order 1 through 4 of the NFC West entering this year in 2025, and I'd be like, okay, I would see that for sure.
What's mathematically, what's the amount of scenarios that you could have? 10 different scenarios for first to fourth place finish, right?
I dropped that.
If I remember, you're supposed to go 4 + 3 + 2 + 1 because that's the max. I think. I don't know, but the point is, however many possibilities there are, I think they're all realistic. I think
for sure.
any order, because we're saying the Rams should be first. Well, what if Stafford just takes a dramatic step backwards and that secondary gets exposed? It's not impossible. By the way, Alaric Jackson might be out for the season. He's got some blood clot issues that are going on, so thoughts and prayers getting sent over that way.
For sure.
I'm a big Alaric Jackson fan. Neither here nor there. But the Rams should be the heavy favorites. They could be last in a division that I expect will be wide open, volatile for some, fun for others. If you're a Pac-12 or a Big 12 fan, then you're going to love it. If you are not, then you're going to be like, that's the worst conference. That's the worst division ever. We're going to be like, hey, shut up, dude. Narc. Enjoy and embrace the madness. That's what makes the sport so fun. And that's what's going to make the NFC West so fun. Because you could see Donnie, give me your order real quick. Just hit me 4 to 1.
4 to 1 or 1 through 4?
1 through 4.
Okay. Rams, Cardinals, Niners, Seahawks.
Perfect. Flip it. The exact opposite. I could see it. Yep. I could see it. Yep. Hit shuffle 100%. 4 different times. I could see it. Like, it's just, that's the beauty of the NFC West this year in the best way possible. And it's not slander to any team, because the Rams should be the favorites. They might not be. The Cardinals, a lot of people are going to be like, that's the 4th place team. They could finish first. Everyone doesn't know what to do with Seattle. So maybe there's 6 wins or maybe there's 6 losses. Like, we could find out. I'm still big on the Niners, but there's a very realistic chance that they finish last in the division again, because they're going through a lot of changes right now. So very, very exciting division. I think this might be one of the divisions to watch this year in football, in the NFL. It'd be between them, the AFC West, and the NFC North. I think those are the 3 most exciting divisions for me.
I'm right there with you, my man. Chat is popping today. Brian asked, "Are we ever going to get the Marvin jersey giveaway?" I think once we hit 2K subs on here, which we are creeping up on, I think we will do that. Says, "I love like Mike. Just wish we got to see him more looks. He's still a dark horse receiver." Absolutely agree. I think he makes a lot of contested catches. I think he's a very reliable guy.
700 yards over under on Michael Wilson this year.
I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I trust a shady used car salesman right now more than I trust the Niners right now. Right there with you, Brian. Right there with you. Skylar says, Devontae Adams.
Can I sell you a bridge?
I think Tay's gonna eat in Los Angeles for sure. I agree with at Real Donnie Hours. I think I might need to change my name to at Real Donnie Hours on Twitter. 40 winers are aging, and it isn't like fine wine. Brian says, I agree with Donnie's rankings. Man, keep this up, guys. I really, really love this. I buy the rankings. Steve Holler, what's up, Steve?
Steve Holler
good,
with
my
just
man.
by far the best picture, man. I love that so much. You should switch it to the one where you're smoking a cigarette, honestly. But that's still some type shit.
I think you look at the Lions as the closest in regards to what you can expect. So the Cards go into the year should be like the 2023 Lions team.
2023 Lions. I love that. 2023 Lions. Love it.
The similarities are almost uncanny sometimes, and that comparison between Arizona and Detroit is made a lot, and like for very good reasons too.
Just not last year's Lions, but 2023 Lions. I think that's a totally fair comparison.
Roar. Please let me be wrong. Brian says Niners are in 1990.
XDDD. That's how we say I love you.
Okay. Claudia says, with the offensive personnel remaining, largely just saying what would be the main reasons the Cardinals offense improves in 2025. Connor, that would be the power of friendship, brother. The power of friendship. No, really. Continuity has been a buzzword in Arizona over the offseason because they didn't really get a lot of time on task moving into 2024, and they kind of had to like figure it out together as they went. So the hope is with a full season of a healthy Kyler Murray under their belt, all of the same guys coming back, Drew Petzing expanding the offensive playbook a little bit. There's hope that things will organically and naturally kind of blossom into what it needs to be. That's the hope. The hope is that you're going to get a more consistent Kyler Murray. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to step up, and guys like Trey McBride and James Conner are going to continue doing Trey McBride and James Conner things.
I think I think the best way for the offense to evolve is Drew Petzing to be able to take a look at his weapons and just place them in better positions to succeed, because we clown him a lot for sure, but there was no reason for Marvin Harrison Jr. to be the go route. There we go. The go route receiver that they were trying to make him last year.
Yeah.
You just need to be able to take your weapons and place them in positions where they can find more success. Look at what he did with Trey McBride last year. I mean, they completely found a perfect role for him. And it's also not a coincidence that Trey McBride has exploded the last 2 seasons when Drew Petzing got here, because Petzing knows how to get the most out of him. So it's not impossible that a guy who was getting head coaching phone calls this past offseason can't figure out how to place these guys in better situations to win their opportunities and the most out of that. So I do have the faith that Petzing can get this figured out, turned around, and all that stuff. So TBD. But I think that's the biggest way that fortunes change for the Cardinals offense this year is just better, more efficient play calling from Drew Petzing. It starts there for sure.
100% agree. Brian says, can we talk about the clown AI made for you guys after the rude person on Twitter called you guys clowns? Shout out to Gary Shaw. I hope he's having a very, very wonderful Friday.
You know what? I don't.
Skylar asks,
I hope that you stub your pinky toe against the side of the counter, Gary Shaw.
And step on Lego at the same time. Skylar asks, how many years does James Conner have in Arizona? Which route do you see the Cardinals take to replace him? I think they can get out of his deal after this year, if I remember his contract correctly. He did just sign an extension at the end of last year to stay in Arizona for a couple more years. Shout out to Minnie. Pray for Gary. That's all we can do.
I can tell you that is the most facetious thing that Minnie can say to you. So she may be praying for your downfall, but she's praying for you.
K2 says, when will you send me an MHA jersey XL, please? God, the people have not forgotten about the Marvin Harrison Jr. jersey. They really have not.
I'm waiting for mine too, jerk.
Hope he gets his W-2s mailed the morning that taxes are due. That's borderline something. Yeah.
That's tough. I'm not gonna lie, Cardinals sin coming like straight out the gate with that one.
It's got to be a good day for him, man. Austin asks, if you added one player from each NFC West team to the Cardinals, who would it be and why?
It's almost like someone put an article out about that.
Oh,
But
if only.
if I can do this off the top of my head, I think it's pretty easy to do. For the Rams, give me one of their pass rushers. I will take Jared Verse. For the Niners, you got two options. I'll let you decide who those options are. And for Seattle, there's a handful of directions you can go. It's still defense for me. And yes. Yes. For Seattle,
Bonk.
to me, it's someone on defense. I don't really like anyone on offense enough to pluck right now. And I think it could be. I love Leonard Williams, and I wish more
Yeah.
people talked about him.
Yeah.
I would probably take Devin Witherspoon because I know he plays nickel for Seattle, but he can absolutely play the boundary. And I would like that situation the most. Although if you give me Reek Woolen and now it's there's 5 interceptions every year.
Yep.
Oh no, give me the freak that is Reek Woolen. How many 6'4" corners do you see that run 4.3s? Not very many.
Yeah. Nope,
He
for
catches
sure.
a lot of slander. And he should
What I
not.
like about but like that's kind of the corner position, like you'll get a lot of people talking good or bad. And the thing I really like about these questions, it doesn't feel like there's like a right or wrong answer, because like for example, my pick for Seattle was Tariq Woolen. And like it just feels like, yeah, like the Cardinals have some really good quarter depth, but like when you can add a guy like that, like you said, 6'4", can run a blazing 40 time, you're guaranteed 5 or 6 interceptions per year. Yeah, I will absolutely take that in the Arizona secondary. I think San Francisco. Ooh, there's a lot of really good talent on the football team, Richie. Give me Ayuk. I would really like Brandon Ayuk in the desert. Yeah.
For the offensive side of the football.
Yeah, and I would
Then
love to
yes,
see what Drew
definitely.
Petzing can do. Maybe he can turn into what Rondo Moore was supposed to be.
Bonk.
You're right.
For several reasons, bonk. Although George Kittle and Trey McBride would feed families.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't even need receiver play because we could put Kittle out wide.
Listen, do not let Drew Petzing hear this because he's going to make that happen.
Oh, no. Don't call a future Hall of Fame tight end one of the 5 greatest ever.
Richie, if Drew Petzing could use 5 tight ends on one play, he would. That dude comes from the Stefanski sicko running the football tree, where they just love utilizing tight ends. They would absolutely do that. Absolutely.
All I'm saying is you could. You could roll out 5 tight ends.
Rams.
So figure it out, Drew.
Are you going to play pot of greed and draw 3 more cards from your deck?
It do that, Yugi. Oh, wait, he's supposed to be out here. Let's tip Raymond.
Oh, man. I really need to get more sleep, man. My pick from the Rams, God, there's a lot of really good options. Who did you pick from LA?
On offense?
Or just in general?
Well, maybe if you were listening when I was talking, that'd be pretty cool. That would have contributed to the podcast a little bit. Defensively, take one of those 4 pass rushers. I'm taking Jared Verse. Offensively, it's Puka. It's Puka. Devontae's awesome. He's just long in the tooth. Give me Puka, who is still on a cheap rookie-controlled contract for 2 more years.
Those are both really good options. Yeah, the NFC West is just stock full of talent, bro. Like truly.
If you, this could potentially be something I try out later on. But if you were to just take the 4 teams in the NFC West, conglomerate them all together, and make a super team, That's a really fun team with some fun offensive players, but my goodness, you're not doing anything defensively. You're not doing a single thing defensively on that team. And that's
Agreed.
a 100 stack defense.
Agreed. Commissioner Logan J. Bell, what are the odds of the Cardinals offense getting worse? Staying the same or slightly improving or reaching a top 5 level, knowing they're basically running it back with the same offensive roster as the last year? This is a coin flip for me because it's going to go one or two ways, Richie, because nothing has really changed personnel-wise. You're banking on Kyler Murray being consistent in 2025, and you're banking on Drew Petzing evolving as a play caller in 2025 too. One of those two things absolutely needs to happen. Both of those things probably need to happen if you're going to make the postseason. If you're making me pick right now, are they going to get worse, stay the same, or slightly improve, or reach a top 5 level? I'm going to go slightly improve. I do think they're going to be a little bit better just because they have more time on task together as compared to heading into this point last year. I don't think they reach top 5. I don't think they get worse, but this all boils down to your opinion on Kyler Murray, because Kyler Murray, for very obvious reasons, is the engine that makes this thing go. Because we saw that in two very different seasons. We saw that in the first half where Kyler Murray was talked about as an MVP candidate because he was not willing the Cardinals to win, but he's doing exactly what he needed to do. The second half of the season, Richie, Kyler Murray had, what was it? Eight interceptions the last 7 games, some stat like that. Football's a team sport. Nobody's solely responsible, but like Kyler puts a lot of the blame on himself for how that season ended because he's a competitor, because he's the quarterback, and that's how it goes.
And because that's what happened.
That's off. Yes, sir. What do you think? Cardinals offense, better, worse, same?
I think that there's a much more realistic chance you're worse than you're better. You are hoping for the same. Donnie, if the defense does what it is supposed to do, if you can field a top 16 offense, you can get to the playoffs. Just don't expect a championship run unless Kyler just clicks. But I think there is a much more realistic possibility that you're worse this year than you were, or that you will be better this year. It really does come down to the way that Drew Petzing is going to be able to orchestrate the offense this year.
I would agree. Moving on to the last question from Ed. Shout out to Ed, my man. Okay, so Ed's profile picture, I never know if these are real people, just because so many people use stock images of random people on the internet. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he reminds. Never mind. What's
Okay.
the question, Ed?
Which
What's the question, Ed?
undrafted free agent? I know exactly where you're going with that too. Which undrafted free agent has the best chance of making the Cardinals' season opening roster? Oh man, put my thinking cap on for this. I think.
What are your options?
There's not a whole lot because they really.
I was gonna say I can't remember any big name guys that they added.
They didn't.
Can I say Xavier Worthy for a second straight year?
People would love that. People would really love that.
I was here before everyone else was.
You were, because I remember I think we did a podcast after that. And you were like, I really liked him. Like even at like Colorado, like he was solid.
That's why I liked him.
Yeah.
He was good. So I liked him last year. That's all I'm saying. I'm better than everyone. I am Richie Bradshaw.
Okay. Answer Elijah Simmons, defensive lineman from Tennessee. Because he's kind of been making noise in the early portions of this offseason. Obviously, things change when you put the pads on, and we'll see what Elijah Simmons can do come training camp. And he is in a very, very,
I was going to say, have you seen that depth chart?
Yeah. And
it might be the 10th guy right now.
And so like that's going to be an uphill climb for him. But I think maybe if we're talking most impressive so far, maybe Elijah Simmons. In terms of making the roster, probably Fryer, the kid from Ohio State. I think this shouldn't be the end all be all, but like Justin Friday, new off the line coach, is from Ohio State. He does have prior experience working with him. I do think that can help a rookie making that transition from college to the NFL, especially when it comes to making a roster. We talked about the off the line depth, Richie, not being super duper strong. I think Fryer can make a play.
We'll wait and see, man. But I mean, you need something on offense. So hopefully you can find something to click.
Yeah, because they signed
Or
6
well,
undrafted
never
free
mind.
agents. Yeah, good.
What I was going to propose is someone would drop a guy to pick up, i.e., Starling Thomas, but that doesn't answer the question.
Sure.
Well, I mean, it's just undrafted free agent. It's not so much a Cardinals undrafted free agent.
That is true.
I don't know. Point is, I think it's just hard to narrow it down to a guy right now. So,
It is,
but
'cause-
Elijah Simmons is definitely the one who's getting the most buzz. But again, he might be the 10th guy on that depth chart. And I'm not exaggerating.
Lance, turn me up. Turn me up on this Friday, brother. I hope you're doing great. LFG.
What does that stand
I can
for?
say it. I said at the beginning of the show, I can say it.
Dude, within 30 seconds, you said, let's fucking go. Lance, you're never late to the party. You're always on time. Party don't start till you're here, baby.
I was gonna say you're never late. Everybody else is just early. Lance, hope you're doing good. Dan L.
in chat.
Ball nowhere. Dan L. Good morning.
One of the ball knowers.
Yeah,
that is sleeper Dan L, baby.
That is sleeper Cardinals Dan L. Trey Benson is seeking a larger role in 2025. How many carries do you envision for him in year 2? I don't know.
That entirely depends on how committed they are to the run, and I encourage the Cardinals to be committed. I have made the comparison to the 2019 Baltimore Ravens in the sense of like, hey, Mark Ingram's really good, but Gus Edwards is really good. Find a way to get both of them heavily involved, because Edwards ran for over 700 yards that year and was triple-digit carries. I would love that to be for Benson, but that requires the Cardinals to go all in on running, which I encourage them to do. That's my answer.
So the Cardinals do seem pretty committed to giving Trey Benson more looks and carries in 2025. And like he spoke with reporters last week, and Benson basically said, hey, like I am expecting to kind of carve out a bigger role here moving forward. What that looks like, I'm not sure. I still think James Conner's the guy. I still think Conner is going to be the quote unquote workhorse back. I do think they're going to be smarter with him. I do think they're going to give Benson a little bit more run. And to be honest, man, like Trey Benson looked pretty good at the end of last year. Like, you know, he struggled early on in his first couple of games as a rookie, but it feels like he stopped kind of like overthinking, and he eventually got himself to be the one cut runner he was at Florida State. Now, will he turn into a home run hitter in 2025? We'll see. We'll see. I don't have expectations for that, but we will see. But I do think Benson's going to have a little bit bigger overall. I just don't know how expansive it's going to be for reasons you already talked about and listed.
Right. And I think that's really what's going to hold him back. Now, I know there were some questions coming out about him just being an upright runner, and like he is a bigger power back, but he's also really, really quick, and he is the home run hitter for this team. How are you going to find a role for him, especially if Michael Carter is involved once again? If Emari DeMercado finds his way onto the roster, which I try to find a spot for him, but you know, neither here nor there. It just makes it that much more difficult because, again, to go back to the Baltimore Ravens, after Gus Edwards, you had Justice Hill, but he was much more of a special teams option. So it did leave Edwards as like the undisputed number 2 running back on a run
heavyweight champion of the world.
I got not, it's too early for me to try and do my my Bruce Buffer impression.
I need sleep, bro.
You do need sleep.
Kyler admits it's backyard football time, and I do think Kyler functions a little bit better whenever things are
backyard football, huh?
Backyard, great game, by the way. Did you play backyard football growing up?
I did not, but I am aware of the legacy of. Now I can't remember his name. Not Pedro. Sanchez. Pablo, thank you. Pablo Sanchez. Yeah, I am aware of the legendary Pablo Sanchez. So if we can get him and Matt from Wii Boxing and just find a way to get them onto this roster, we might be cooking. Give me Matt at middle linebacker.
Like 6-year-old Donnie was hunched over his like Windows 2003 computer, just grinding that game. I know, don't say it. I know what you want to say. Don't say it. But I was grinding that game. Also, shout out, Greg. Really appreciate you. Touching back on Benson, Brian says Benson tried to take. Benson tried to take everything to the house all the time. He learned from the patience from Connor as the year went on. That's exactly what he said during his press conference. He said he was just overthinking too much. And James Conner basically was like, hey, man, like, this isn't Florida State. You're not going to hit 70-yard runs like you did every other play. This is the NFL. It's a little bit different. Just take what the defense gives you. And I think once that kind of settled into Trey Benson on top with like the game speed, slowing down a little bit for him too, I really think you saw it click at the last half of the season.
Yeah. Nope, I do too. So a lot of it is there for Benson to become I don't want to say superstar, but I want to say superstar, man. I mean, he's got the blend of size and speed. So if you can start coaching in the ability to make the one cut running style his thing, you know what? Let's go crazy. Let's go absolutely crazy.
Richie,
are you ready?
No.
The potential of a faster Arian Foster.
I feel like Foster was considered a better runner.
But that's what I'm saying. And he was a one-cut runner.
Yeah.
And I think that if Benson can embrace that style of running, because I think that's going to be best for him. I know he's fast. I don't know that he's shifty, cut on a dime. I know he's big. I don't know that he's run your ass over. But I do think that he's got the size and speed to be able to blend those. So if you can get him to be the one-cut style that Arian Foster or – let's go to the pinnacle of pinnacles and like Le'Veon Bell was, then there's a lot of potential here for Trey Benson to become something truly special. He's got the God-given abilities. Now it's just a matter of teaching him the things, i.e. patience, to let a hole develop.
Yep. If anybody should know, Arian Foster is a very patient runner. It would be Skylar Burkhart. But that is true. I think the patience will come with time.
You still got that jersey, Skyler?
Vincent, though, he better still have that jersey. Brian says, played backyard baseball, Pablo Sanchez. I never played backyard baseball. I was strictly a backyard football guy, but just great games, man. I heard they were bringing them back at some point. I'm not sure how true that is.
I did see that too. So
Steve asks, is there a little run over guys type runner at times in Benson? So like Benson's big, but like
he's not a bruiser.
Yeah, like I do not.
I think turf though.
I think he'll lower his shoulders and he'll pick up extra yards.
Right.
I don't think he's going to like Adrian Peterson people. I
don't.
No.
But
no.
Adrian was a bruiser. So at the end of the day, if you wanted to pin these running backs to a certain style, like Adrian Peterson was fast, he was a bruiser. Yeah, great memories, Skylar. I got to make another sweet tart sometime for all of us to enjoy.
You do not.
And I'm not talking
no, you
about.
Don't. No, you don't, brother. You stay away.
It is event day tomorrow.
It is event day tomorrow. Kyler Bird.
Kyler
Bird. On SI. I've done several Cardinals franchises in Madden. Trey Benson becomes a superstar within 2 years every single time. So, Madden has never been wrong.
But Kyler, do you turn off the salary cap?
That's
what I gotta know.
Big question. Brian says Benson might be the key to the offense, actually, just because how much his offense relies on JC. And if he were to miss time or hell, they should lower his workload. Benson is sneaky the key. Maybe not key. I do think he could play a bigger role in the offense moving into 2025. The hope is, if for whatever reason James Conner needed the missed time, Benson could step in and fill those shoes pretty adequately. I would feel comfortable at this point in time if they needed to, for whatever reason, plug Benson into that running back one role. I would be confident he could handle it. Do I think he puts up James Conner numbers? No. But also, James Conner is one of the most underrated running backs in the league, has been for quite some time.
Yep.
And he's very, very productive. And I just think he gets disrespected from a national level. Kyler has never turned off the salary cap. Good man.
Good man.
Very, very good man.
I can't say the same.
Richie.
Brother, I'm already bad at video games. Let me just keep my team.
I did it whenever I was younger. Whenever I was younger, playing like Madden 05, I would trade. I would like turn off salary cap, and then I would just trade like all of the like best players in the game to my team.
Becky, let me smash. Tony, I'm tired.
Steve asked if Benson was clicking at the end of last year. Why did people blame Connor getting hurt as the reason they faltered in the second half? Steve, people love a scapegoat, brother. People love a scapegoat. They need somebody to point the finger to. Kyler says, I'm thinking we need an Arizona Cardinals on SI Madden tournament in the near future.
Double it and pass it to the next person. Thanks, though. Appreciate it. I get to play on arcade mode.
Kyler, if you're a college football 26 guy, let me know, because that would be a very, very fun thing to do. Because both Richie and I are adequate players of that game for sure.
I have a couple hundred hours in college football 25.
I do. I looked at that the other day on the loading screen, and I'm like, I need to get a life, bro. Like,
well, in fairness, I put in so many hours during the Olympics because I was working overnights for iHeart and I needed something to do. So, I mean, I was playing that damn game for 15 hours a day.
That damn game.
That damn game, baby.
That damn game. I think that's all the questions we had, bro.
I feel productive, and I think it's time for a nap.
It is time for a nap.
At 10:03 in the morning, I think it's time for a nap.
Yapping for an hour, dude.
That's what happens when me and you sit down and start shooting the shit.
Got a dynasty, so y'all interested.
Donnie is calling your name.
Lance. Tempt me with a good time, brother. Yeah, dude, we have a month till training camp. We're definitely probably going to do a pre-training camp mailbag before that comes, but we're chilling. We're both very sleep deprived. We both need sleep. Steve, getting him one last question. I think you can make a good argument. The Cards defense improved in the second half of the season, but no one thought they were going to beat most of those second half teams. I will say at the bye week, you looked at the schedule and you're like, man, like this is going to be a tough run of games because they had Seattle, Minnesota, a handful of other like divisional games against the Rams and the Niners, which they ended up smoking the Niners in week 18, but that's besides the point. I don't think that schedule was like super favorable at all. I do think dropping that game to Carolina was inexcusable though, in every way possible.
Get ready for it to happen this year because for whatever reason, Carolina's got the number of this team, man. It isn't it funny? There's just like certain teams that have your number. Like the Cowboys can't figure out how to stop the Cardinals, no matter how good the Cowboys are and how bad the Cardinals are. And that's the Cardinals with the Panthers.
Yep.
Like, it doesn't matter how good the Cardinals are, how bad the Panthers are. Death, taxes, and upsets, apparently.
No.
Good just about funny Carolina. How that happens.
W stream. Let's take a nap, brother.
Eat that W, baby. Perfect time to end this flipping podcast.
All right, my man. Let's get out of here. I think the Cardinals players were very, very upset about losing that game. Remember, they couldn't stop the run. That officially put them out of the playoff reach too. Is that a beanbag in the background?
No, that's a dog bed.
Oh,
for the one and only Harley Quinn.
I was gonna say for me.
Is for you.
Let's get out of here before we get arrested. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Cardinals on SI podcast. Follow Richie Bradshaw on Twitter at RichieBrads36. Follow me on Twitter at Donnie Drew. And you can follow our work at SI.com/NFL/Cardinals. Richie, I tweet this every Friday before we get out of here. What's your vibe of the day today?
Vibe of the day Timber by Pitbull featuring Kesha, because that was the first song that popped into my head this morning when I got out of bed, and that's what I have had stuck in my head the whole podcast.
I would sing it, but I don't want to get copyrighted, so we're
Well,
going.
What?
They're yelling.
Timber. What is your vibe of the day then, Mr. Druin? What Drake song do you have?
You know what? Why attack me like that?
Say Drake.
I'll give you a.
You better hope you never go to Cell Block 1.
I'm seeing you tomorrow, Richie Bradshaw. Are we gonna do this,
brother? Do you want me to drop your dumb ass in front of everyone? Wow, can you? That was crazy. That AI just mimicked my voice like that.
Bro.
That's crazy.
Huh. I haven't settled on a vibe yet. I will go. I don't make no sense by NBA Youngboy. $500 if you know that song, Richie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It goes something like all I do is timber, no matter what. Nah. It's the DOGG. You better lose yourself. Calling Baton Rouge. Yippee-ki-yay, other buckets.
Beautifully said. All right, let's real get out of here before YouTube blocks all of us from streaming ever again. Same time next week.
Yeah, we'll do it for the Vine.
I ain't gonna do it
for the Vine. You do it for the Vine.
I ain't gonna do it.
Do it for the Vine.
I ain't gonna do it.